I have the pleasure of introducing our first speaker, Monica Lily Jacobs. She is a third-year applied data analytics student at Syracuse University's iSchool, but that title only scratches the surface. She's the founder of Nails by Molil. She did my nails as well, yes. Nail services business that built for the Syracuse community, and an emerging technology intern where she works to expand AI capabilities while safeguarding employee and customer data. She is someone who never waited for permission to take up space in her career, her community, or in herself. Today, she is here to argue that the person you've been ashamed of is the very person that you need to arrive as. As a society, why do we only respect growth when it is approached as a fall from grace? We're conditioned to believe that growth must come from pain, discomfort, and having all the answers. Yet, we can experience radical growth in life in the places where we found ourselves the most vulnerable, in our faults. Please welcome our first speaker, Monica, and her talk, The Gift of Our Faults.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I don't know if it's because I'm the oldest daughter of an oldest daughter, but wherever I find myself in life, I've been placed in positions that allow me to be the first. The first to ask questions that don't yet have answers, and the first to go down paths that haven't yet been traveled. From coming to Syracuse and pursuing my major in a field that I had no prior knowledge in, to starting my nail business without even knowing what a business plan was, and now being at my internship where I'm creating tools for employees when I didn't know how I could contribute to the world of technology. I've been blessed to be placed in a position that allows me to push boundaries and find the answers where no one else thought to look. When I first started doing nails, it was because my mother told me, absolutely not. You could not go to the nail salon and get nails that long. Now, I could have taken that as defeat, but I used it as an opportunity to buy the supplies I needed to do my nails to the exact length and shape of my liking. And because of that, it has allowed me to have a flourishing nail business that has grown with every semester, as you can see. And when I was pursuing my major and I told my dad that I wanted to study data analytics, he, without saying it, couldn't understand why I chose to study what I'm studying. He tried to put me in the box of doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Does that sound familiar? And I don't blame him because my dad just wanted success for me, and I couldn't articulate to him how I was going to get there with my chosen major. But I stood firm in my decision, and because of that, I've been placed in an area that's allowed me to be at the sector of technology and innovation. This trait of doing it anyways didn't come from I wasn't just born with it, honestly. I spent a lot of my time in time of just self-rejection and depriving myself of the opportunities in the world around me. And it took a long time to learn how much of a disservice that is to yourself, because it took honoring my faults to understand that I can see how the world can teach me in beautiful ways. I want to ask you all a question. How many of you guys think that you can only grow or come back from a place of absolute pain and despair? Stop thinking like that. That's not healthy. Because I think that we can experience the same radical growth in our lives in the places where we find ourselves the most vulnerable. When we are joyous, when we are at peace, and when we acknowledge the fact that we have faults. And like Sonia mentioned earlier, our society has conditioned us to believe that we need to be stripped of everything so that we can go forward in the world. But sometimes you need to carry the things that you're trying to hide the most to make the impact that you're trying to. In college, people are often hiding behind the safety net of being in school. I mean, this is the one time that we are actually afforded grace in the messiness that is the process of becoming. we don't really acknowledge the areas in our lives where we've remained stagnant because we are too fearful of making mistakes and we're ending up worse off than where we began. But fortunately and unfortunately, mistakes and change are inevitable, and we have to make mistakes to allow the world to change around us. We never stop learning, and we never stop growing. But how can we use these experiences to reshape our outlook on life? How can we use it to change how we are thinking about and approaching growth? But most importantly, how can we use it to speak life over the goals that we want for ourselves? With the state of the world, many of us are operating from a place of fear, and rightfully so. It seems like the mistakes of today are going to lead to dire consequences for tomorrow. And because of that, we keep ourselves stagnant, but we have to make mistakes. We often use the words of other people to communicate for us, whether it be friends, mentors, advisors, or more. And only when we are at our most vulnerable do we speak our truths that are purely our own, no matter how beautiful or how ugly. Okay, before I move on, I want to ask you all a question. Who here has recently saved or sent a motivational quote to keep yourself going? Come on, it's a safe space. Exactly. Well, a quote that has kept me going is from renowned R&B singer Jill Scott. She said, "In order to create art, not a product, art, you have to make mistakes. You have to make dinner, and sometimes dinner has to burn." Well, this semester, I've been going out of my way to cook more and refine my skills in the kitchen. You know, learning how to cook chicken thoroughly, how can I make rice that isn't dry but also isn't burnt, and how can I use spices and herbs to make my food delicious. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've spent hours in the kitchen using rolls of paper towel, filling my sink up with dirty dishes, all this to make a week's worth of the nastiest food I have ever tasted. And honestly, some of you might see that as a fail because it's like, okay, well, you spent all that time and your food is nasty. True. But I see it as a small victory because at least I'm still cooking. And honestly, sometimes dinner had to be disgusting or burnt because it's helped me learn. And from these lessons, I've been able to make meals that are both nourishing and delicious. My mother is the most amazing cook that I know. And every time I enter the kitchen, I'm trying to channel her. I've seen her rush home from picking us up after school, throwing things in a pot just to have something on the table before running out of the house again to take us to practice. And coincidentally, in those times of rush meals, she was able to create food that was delicious and have turned into staples in our household. There was one time she burnt mashed potatoes, and I was like, "Mommy, what is this amazing new smoky flavor? I love it." But I don't see how my mother might have burnt dinner in a rush to take care of the household. I just see how she's put amazing meals together to feed my family and I. Do you ever question how you're gonna go from fumbling around in the kitchen to being like your mom who can make meals in less than an hour that fed your whole family? Well, when I bring up my cooking fails to my mother, she tells me that burning your dinner can go one of two ways. You can take what you've learned and use it to be better for the next time, or you can be scared to cook and keep yourself in a place of stagnation. This is about more than just dinner. This is about college applications, grad school applications, your first job, your first internship, maybe your first relationship, and the many other firsts that life awards us with. Let's pivot. As I mentioned earlier, I use things in the media to help me find motivation to keep going. Another quote that stuck with me was from a film, A Wrinkle in Time. And in those short 2 hours, I was learning so much about how I was approaching my life and how I can change my approach for the better. We are introduced to celestial beings, but the most important one, or the one that stood out to me the most, was Mrs. Whatsit. In the film, she spent the entire time bickering with the main character because Meg was everything that she wasn't. While things flowed off Mrs. Whatsit's back easily, with Meg, she was stubborn and she just didn't adapt as easily. It was only at the end of the movie when Meg had to go fight the It, a monster that attacked your mind from the inside out and used your deepest insecurities against you to prove why you're unworthy of what you want for yourself in this world. Meg turned to Mrs. Whatsit and she asked her for help. And in that moment, Mrs. Whatsit said, "Meg, I give you the gift of your faults." Like Meg, I was confused. Because why would you gift me the same weaknesses that you have been throwing in my face since I met you? Well, I had my own instance like that. In my sophomore year of college, I took a coding class that was devouring my confidence. I won't say that I despise coding, but I'm still learning how to love it. And when I was in that class, I just imagined this. Coming onto campus on Fridays when you don't have class to attend office hours, seeing sunrises at Bird trying to understand course material, and skipping your other classes to prepare for this one class. You would think I had gotten an A, but that was the exact opposite. In fact, when I brought this up to my professor, she looked me in my face and told me, "I know you're probably used to being an all-A student, but I promise you, a C isn't going to kill you." I wish I could have dropped dead right there to prove her wrong. But I just couldn't understand why she didn't see that I was trying to overcompensate for the areas that I lacked. Now, while I was upset with her, she's ultimately right. I didn't know it then, but my professor was my Mrs. Whatsit, because I could have taken that experience to think I can't contribute anything in the world of technology, both professionally and academically. Instead, that forced me to pivot and learn about the gift in my own faults. With my nail business, I spend time, I have a couple clients in the audience, I sit there with them, we're hand in hand, and I'm asking them about their lifestyle, down to what they wear. Do you wear gold or silver jewelry? How long do you like your nails? Just so I can create user-centered design for them. I didn't know it then, but these skills have proven to be the most valuable asset at my internship. In a way, I'm like Meg, because when Meg was in her final battle, she found out that all of the things that she counted as her weaknesses were the exact traits that she needed to go forward. Her sensitivity, her stubbornness, and her intensity allowed her to succeed in all the areas where she thought she wouldn't. I want to ask you, how often have you given yourself nothing because you didn't have everything? I use myself as an example to relate to you in the audience, to think about the times when we didn't apply to that school, or that e-board position, or that job because we didn't think we were worthy. To my fellow college students, I want you to think about the times when we didn't think we would get through a semester, all while getting closer to the finish line. And to my audience members who have graduated college, remember the days when that accomplishments felt so far away. And now you have enough experiences in your life that make the struggles of college seem worlds away. Again, I want to ask you, if you have given yourself nothing because you didn't have everything, as students, professionals, and overall human beings, we need to change this outlook because our faults allow us to see our strengths so that we can operate in this world to create the environments that we want to see, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. My idea of approaching our faults as gifts directly challenges the idea that you need to be flawless to contribute to the world meaningfully. I'm arguing that the very same faults that make you inefficient are actually the faults that make you innovative. Your stubbornness has turned into persistence. Your curiosity is making us ask better questions, which are leading to better answers. And your sensitivity is creating the user-centered design to save communities. In my 3 years at Syracuse, I've had the pleasure of being surrounded by people like you in the audience. Future change makers, policy creators, boundary pushers, and more. What I'm trying to say is you all shine in your own different ways. Some of you are the first to go to college. Some of you are the first to pursue a field that no one around you has studied. You are proof that innovation doesn't need perfection. It needs people who go forward, even when the road is untraveled. When I think about my community, I think about my favorite Lil Wayne lyric. We in the same picture, but we all got different poses. I see this as what happens when I'm surrounded with people like you on campus. You all have brilliant minds and are actively trying to make a way for yourselves. To me, it defines what innovation really is. Understanding that we all have different roles in this life, but we are all essential to cultivating the big picture. So today, once again, I stand before you as Mrs. Whatsit, and I give you the gift of your faults. You will be surprised at the amount of times that you have walked into rooms defining yourself by what you lacked, when everybody else was in awe by all of the strengths that you possessed. Do not deny yourself of the world because you don't have everything. Do not disqualify yourself because you lack a certain skill. You have to remember that before you can save the world, you have to save your world. And to do that, you have to be intentional. It is your responsibility to follow through and try every day, whatever that may look like, to fight for your future, your community, and the next generation of change makers and innovators. Thank you.